Today I want to talk to you about project management in Jira or Atlassian in general. Does it make sense to manage your projects using those tools? How to do it effectively? Which methods does Jira environment support? This and probably a little bit more will be covered in this video. This video is part of our effort to deliver high quality training and learning materials for the Atlassian ecosystem. If you want to support us, then consider subscribing to the channel. And also, we do offer paid services in this area. So, whatever you need, you can always reach out to us. All right, now back to the video topic, back to project management. This topic, I'm actually getting asked about this quite a lot when I'm talking with my customers, our customers, and even also some random people that just hook me up on YouTube or somewhere on the internet and ask about project management in the Atlassian ecosystem in general. And they usually ask, does it make sense to manage projects using Jira, using the tools surrounding Jira? What if I'm currently using Microsoft Project? What if I'm currently using something else? Does it make sense to switch? How hard is the switch? And so on and so on, right? So these are the kind of questions I will do my best to answer today. And I will also give you some interesting benefits that will be connected with switching, because I do believe that switching to the Jira environment is the right choice. Not for everyone, probably, but for the majority of cases. So I will be telling you why. Here's where I want to start. So the world of project management, at least the one that we have the contact with, there are always some outliers, but in general, it's divided into three different or separate categories. First category is agile people or agile companies. Second category is waterfall people or waterfall companies. And the third category is somewhere in between. So it's a mixture of agile and waterfall, a little bit this, a little bit that, right? So then you of course have Prince 2, you have PMI, you have different methodologies, but all in all, essentially, you usually can fit those into one of those three. Now, our experience is that there are very, very, very few companies that actually work pure Agile. It might come as a surprise to you because Agile has been on the rise for the many years in the past, and it seems like this is the right way to do things nowadays. But also, if you take a broader look at the market, if you talk with people like I do, you will quickly understand that implementing full Agile is actually quite challenging. Okay, scaled Agile framework, another thing that is beautiful. I like it. It really works and is designed in a smart way, but it's also hard to implement because you need to revolutionize the way that the company works. And and not many companies are willing or able to do that. Simple as that. So all in all, many of them, willingly or not, end up somewhere in the middle. Now the question is it a bad thing? My opinion? No. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that they end up somewhere in the middle because this is the place where they get the benefits of Agile, but also they feel comfortable with not abandoning the remnants of the waterfall that they are maybe used to, that maybe other tools that they are using are designed for. So there can be many arguments for this. But all in all, I'm always, even this week, I have a chat with the guy and we were talking about this. And he asked me, okay, so what is my approach regarding the methodologies? Can we support them in choosing the right methodology to manage projects? And yes, we do offer these kind of services as a company. And he said, okay, so should we go agile? Should we go, which methodology would you recommend? And I said that we never recommend one single methodology to follow. First of all, the different methodologies exist because there is market for it, but it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's actually the methodology has to be chosen in a way that it will fit your way of working and managing projects inside your company, managing people, managing contracts, managing outside vendors, partners. All this ecosystem has to be taken into account before you actually make a decision. This is the way to go. This is how we want to work with our projects. So I said that I don't know, but at this point in time, because I don't know how you're working with your projects yet, I don't know your ecosystem. But if we learn this, then we may be able to give you some advices, some recommendations to follow. So this is my approach. Take whatever works for your particular case and use it. If you end up with a mix of things, but the mix that does make sense for you and works and brings you all the benefits that you need, perfect. That's my approach. But of course, if you want to be pure scale Agile framework, sure, we can help you do that as well. Anyway, so let's now take a look at the tools and figure out, okay, so where does Jira fit into those three categories? So if you look at Jira out of the box, just pure Jira, I think that pure Jira actually addresses very well only one of those categories, and that's Agile. So if you're working Agile, Jira will be very good for you. Even out of the box, Jira has lots of very cool features that allow you to follow your Agile way, follow your Agile path, and be able to manage your sprints. If you're working Kanban, then work with Kanban. Even if you're working with revisions, if you're working with versions, then Jira will support you in all of those, right? So we can even take a look at the screen over here. And so I might actually take a step back over here, and I can click Create Project. So you can see that if you choose software development as a project template, you have those Kanban templates, you have those Scrum templates. So they will immediately take you to the right place, so to say. You will create a project that will be focused around sprints. You will create a project that will be focused around your Kanban boards. And then here is one of those projects. I'm looking at the backlog currently. You can see that we have the beautiful backlog listed over here. I can mark things with flags, with priorities, assign things to people in my team, connect them, user stories to Epic, and so on and so on. Assign very, very quickly, really, all the issues to separate sprints, plan those sprints, manage my team capacity, everything that is actually connected with Agile way of working. Well, maybe almost everything will be available here. I'm saying almost because there are bits missing, but they are maybe not the core of the methodology, and the tool doesn't have to have these things to be efficient. So poker planning, for example, right? You don't have it in Jira out of the box. There are apps for this, so you can add it to Jira if you want to, but out of the box it's not supported, which is not a big deal, really. You can easily switch to active sprints. You have a bunch of reports. That's also quite useful because whatever you're doing in your project management, you need reports, right? And here you will have a bunch of reports connected with your Agile way of doing things. So if you're working Agile, Jira will work for you, right? But what if you're working Waterfall? If you're working Waterfall, the things become a little bit more difficult. The closest thing you will get to working Waterfall in Jira is probably the roadmap, not probably, the roadmaps section. And I'm looking at the Jira Cloud right now. So here you will be able to kind of visualize, okay, where are my things on the timeline? You will be able to expand things to see what's beneath those. And it's kind of useful, but it's not, how do I put it? I think it's pretty good for visualizing where you are timeline wise in kind of a Gantt-like view, but it's actually missing quite a lot of important features which are connected to the waterfall way of working. So, for example, grouping things over here. For example, the critical path. For example, the baselines, for example, alternative scenarios, for example, managing your people, your teammates, your resources, so it's something that is rather closer to the hybrid way of working because it kind of allows for your Agile environment to get a Gantt-like view which is very often the case when you're working hybrid, but it's still missing quite a lot of things that are connected with waterfall way of working, and you have to be aware of that. Even so, this is the basic version of the roadmaps. Even advanced roadmaps, which are a little bit better over here, they will still be missing a lot of things. We have separate videos regarding this on the channel, so I'm not going to talk a lot about this over here. Please go and search for the advanced roadmaps videos and check those. There you will be able to see what essentially you are missing when you are choosing to work with this tool. I'm not saying it's a bad tool. I'm just saying that if you have specific needs regarding the waterfall way of working, then this might not be your best choice. And that's it, and that's all. All right, perfect. So so this is where Jira stands right now, out of the box. And I feel that, again, it's pretty good when you're working Agile. If you want to expand a little bit more outside of Agile, it starts to get less and less useful. Okay. Now, so what is the answer for the waterfall approach or the mixed approach, which has some important waterfall elements in it? Well, there are additional tools that you can put on top of your Jira, and these tools will allow you to work waterfall in a pretty darn good way. Okay, so the tools I'm talking about, I think there are two that we like the most: BigPicture and Structure Gantt. There is also WBS Gantt, which is pretty decent, especially if you want to just focus on the waterfall way of working. So these are the three I think are worth mentioning right now. And our favorite is definitely BigPicture, because even though it's quite close to Structure, I think that it still has some benefits that Structure doesn't have, and that's why we prefer to work with BigPicture. But again, it doesn't mean that Structure is a bad product. It's actually a very, very good product as well, and it has some benefits over BigPicture too. So it's an almost even battle, so to say. So how does BigPicture help you? This is BigPicture. I switched the tab in the browser, so this is what inside of BigPicture would look like. It works on top of Jira. It reuses your Jira data. It doesn't create its own data, with some very minor exceptions. And this is the main screen of BigPicture. So over here, I would be looking at my list of projects, portfolios, whatever I would decide to record over here as data. I could switch the timeline to take a look at, how all of that looks in time. Where are my boxes? There they are, right? How all that looks in time, what contains what contains what, because these elements can be put into the hierarchy. So I can have programs at the top, or portfolios at the top, projects underneath it, then maybe some phases inside the project underneath that. For example, like over here, for example, I can see some portfolio aggregation, and I can see Agile hybrid project inside. I can see some waterfall project inside. If I expand the waterfall project, you can see that I have program increments inside, which actually doesn't make sense because program increments are used in Scaled Agile framework, but we were just playing around over here. This is our sandbox after all. Yeah. So you can immediately see that BigPicture allows you to perfectly well create, first of all, your whole portfolio hierarchy. So that's why they like to call the PPM solution, Portfolio Project Management Solution, right? And then on top of that, if you go into the details of any one of those, really, so I'll choose this one, you will be able to work within a certain part of everything that is currently happening in your project management office. And then you can see, okay, I chose the web apps portfolio. So I'm looking at the whole portfolio over here. I'm looking at the overview section of this. And I can see, okay, there are 5 projects inside. I also have a template over here. If I choose to look at the timeline, I will be able to see how those projects are placed in time. If I choose to go to the Gantt view, I will be able to see more details regarding those projects. So I can still see them over here. I can still see how they are placed in time, but now I can expand the project, for example, and check out the details, right? What's going on over here? What is happening? What is connected with what? Which actually we don't see over here, but of course, all the dependencies that normally you would be expecting to be on the Gantt chart are available over here as well. There are baselines, there are critical paths. there are warnings, there are progress reports, right? There are markers to let you know what's overdue and what's not, right? So all of those things will be available over here. There is also resource panel available straight from the Gantt, or you can switch to the resource module inside BigPicture that has all the capabilities to work with your resources as well. This project is not very well structured for the resource management, so it's not a great example for it. But essentially, you will be able to see over here all the people that are in your project team, their workload, their availability, and of course, you will be able to manage that perfectly, connected maybe with skills management, connected well, maybe with team management or teams management, if you have multiple teams working on the project. That happens quite often, really, right? And then on top of this, BigPicture also has capabilities for agile management that add a little bit more over what Jira out of the box has as well. So we have a board module. We have basically board module is the main one. I was going to add scope module as well, but that's like a, at least in my mind, for how we are usually recommending to work with BigPicture, is like a helping module that adds a little bit to the agile way of working, but it's not tremendously important. So we can see that there is some data inconsistency over here. As I said, this project is not very well structured, but maybe let's go to demo box. This one should have some data that will be pretty okay, right? So this is what you would have in your board module. You have elements over here planned for your PIs. If you go to the lower level of the PI, you will have your phases over here, I guess, of my project. You could have iterations over here, sprints over here, and you can do the planning over here for all of those for multiple teams at the same time. So Jira doesn't allow you to do that here. You are allowed to do that. You are allowed to see the dependencies. I can expand the dependencies so we can see that there are arrows flying, connecting tickets, not too many tickets over here, essentially, at this level at least, but we definitely have the dependencies, and those dependencies can be depicted over here and can, of course, help you manage whatever work is happening and make sure that you don't have any blockers or anything that will stop you from delivering the work on time. So this is that, right? So BigPicture structure, these tools will support you in the waterfall way of working with your projects. They will also, especially BigPicture, support you in a hybrid approach. So because BigPicture covers both Agile and Waterfall, it also has some amazing features that actually bring tremendous benefits to the hybrid way of working, right? So you can create your sprints at the lower level. You can ask your software teams, hardware teams, whatever teams you want to work Agile, you can ask them to use the Agile approach. And of course, everything can be synced with Jira immediately. So it's not like you use only BigPicture, it's actually connected to Jira. So the developers or people that are working Agile, they don't even have to know that BigPicture exists. That's how good it is. And so if they are used to working with Jira, their Jira boards, Jira sprints, they can stay there, but you can still get all the necessary data over here in BigPicture, aggregated, accumulated, put into the hierarchy structure. And the higher you go above your Agile teams, you can build the waterfall layer on top of that, and then have a little bit more of the visibility, waterfall kind of like visibility with timelines, Gantt charts, and understand exactly what's happening so that you can show this to your higher ups, or maybe you are the higher up. So this kind of information will be relevant to you because you want to see the timeline and you want to see, okay, from when to when we're going to be doing certain things, how much budget is necessary to complete that. So all of that information can be successfully recorded inside BigPicture, inside structure. Okay, so that's why we like these tools, and that's why we work with these tools a lot, because I think that they expand the capabilities of Jira out of the box in a very efficient and very tremendous, in terms of number of functionalities, way. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to add is that the whole process of project management is not just planning and delivering projects, but there is also a process before that, the process of selecting what we are actually going to do. So you can call it, whatever you want. We usually call it the project ideas funnel. Yeah. So this is basically the process where you gather the ideas of what are our ideas for the next 2 years, let's say, and then you score them somehow. And then when the time comes, you choose several of those that you are able to deliver because you have resources for it, because you feel that they are important, they bring benefit, money, um, you know other kind of savings to your department, to your company, and then you start planning and implementing that, right? So this is the second part that we've already talked about. So now the question is, does Jira support this very beginnings of the project funnel, very beginning of the project existence, project ideas inside your company? And the answer is yes. Again, there are several ways of doing this. It can even be done with Jira out of the box. It will be a little bit clunky, but not terrible at all. And we have been doing for many years, and I feel that it works pretty well. But then there are also some additional tools that you could be using to support yourself in this planning process. Even BigPicture can be implemented over here, and it has some scoring mechanism that could be used to score those ideas and put them into some kind of the ordered list or hierarchy, right? So if you're worried about that, don't be. It's essentially pretty easily doable inside the Atlassian ecosystem. Also, if you feel like you're working with different elements, right? So you're thinking, okay, Jira has those epics, tasks, subtasks, user stories, bugs, but what if I want to have a feature? What if I want to have a theme? What if I want to have a program? What if I want to have a portfolio? The good news is that all of that is quite easily configurable really inside the Jira, plus the tool of your choice that you will be using maybe on top of that. So if it's BigPicture, if it's structure, all of those support different hierarchies, different elements in those hierarchies. So there is really quite a lot of flexibility inside the whole ecosystem. And that's exactly what we also love about it. Now, I promised that I will also let you know why do I think that working with projects inside the Jira, inside the Atlassian ecosystem is beneficial. And I'll tell you one super important thing. So if you're working with the tool that is outside of Jira, and I am assuming that Jira is somehow part of your ecosystem one way or another currently. If it's not, you may be thinking about switching to it. But if it already is, if your people are already using Jira to plan their tasks, follow the execution of those tasks, distribute those tasks between people, then having your project management in a separate tool is just a pain in the right. Yeah. And imagine now that you can bring all of that planning into the Jira ecosystem. And then you can do the planning, and all the elements that you have inside your project plan now can be easily assigned to people that will be responsible for delivering them. You don't have to copy them. You don't have to migrate them. You don't have to rewrite them in a separate tool. It's all there. And now imagine that when those people make any kind of progress on those tasks, they mark that progress, and then you as a project manager, you as a executive, you get this information instantly. You just go into the tool, and every morning you can say, okay, let's see that today's progress. And you go inside, you take a look at the charts, you take a look at the progress bars, you take a look at the statuses, and you understand what's happening. If people are reporting time, for example, in Jira, you will get immediate information regarding how many hours have been spent. You can even put in some automations that will immediately tell you how much of your budget has currently been burned or used. All of those things available just inside the Jira ecosystem with some apps on top of that. And that's exactly what we like about it. So you get instant information flow, instant reporting. You get absolutely amazing communication and collaboration between different teams because everything is in one place. And even if each and every one of those teams works in a separate way inside Jira, which is also possible, I'm not saying, completely different because that wouldn't make sense for the company essentially. But if somebody wants to have one workflow and the other team wants to have another workflow, if this team wants to work with sprints and this team wants to work with Kanban, it's still matchable. It's still connectable, and it can still work together beautifully. And inside such a tool like BigPicture or Structure, you can still get the aggregated information. It will be accurate at any point in time as long as people don't fail. We of course know that they will from time to time, but nothing is perfect, and you will have to discipline the people to at least make notes inside the system regarding the progress one way or another. Yeah, it's either that, or you go and ask every one of the team leaders or even individual persons, "Hey, how are you doing today? Have you done what you were supposed to do yesterday?" Right? So, of course, meeting with your team and talking with them is important, but also being a again, pain in the butt and micromanaging people is not the best way of approaching this because everybody wants to have a little bit of a freedom regarding what they are doing. And having everything in one place and having the tool that gives you the capabilities of this kind of reporting and gathering and an instant information flow is essentially helping you manage not only projects but also people inside the company. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I think it works tremendously well. I also think that you need to set it up correctly so that you actually get all the benefits from it. We have a lot of experience with project management inside the Jira ecosystem. This is our bread and butter. This is what we have been doing since the beginnings of our experiences with Jira, Confluence, and all the Atlassian tools. So if you're looking for any kind of support inside this area, any kind of consulting, if you want someone with a lot of experience, with a lot of use cases that we've already assembled, gathered, experienced to help you out on this journey, absolutely reach out to us. The contacts are in the description of this video. And we will just jump on a call, talk about how we can help you, what's your current situation. And if you like our approach, then maybe we will be able to work together. If you don't like it, no harm's done. It's just a free meeting and you are not losing anything. And I promise you that you will definitely get something out of this one way or another. Awesome. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Hopefully this was helpful and this allows you to have a broader perspective on the Atlassian or Jira environment in general regarding the project management. I hope that I was able to convince you that bringing your project management to the Atlassian ecosystem has a lot of benefits that are worth considering. And I'm thanking you for staying with me through this whole video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Cheers.